America! USA! Red, white, and blue! The colors of our nation! And tonight, there's two men who will be going at it for the sake of this glorious country. United States of America! And Schrader in one corner, Ralph Nader in the other. They're gonna fight. They're gonna kill each other. Stay tuned, girls and boys, to see what the outcome will be. Here we are, Schrader versus Nader. No holds barred grudge match. One man standing in the end.
I'm flattered to be talking to you, and I just finished reading the book.
Thank you.
Yeah, the 17 traditions. And I wanted to ask you a couple questions about the book, actually.
Sure.
First of all, now, there is a section in the book about work, which one section which struck me in particular. Your father's walking down the street with your sister, and she notices a street cleaner, and she's like, boy, I wouldn't want to do that for a living. And your father states, well, that's exactly the reason why this person should be paid a good amount of money, and that you should respect this form of labor. And it really struck home with me because I used to be a janitor myself, and I remember making $7 an hour, and I found it hard to believe because the cashier would be standing there doing nothing, and I'd be cleaning toilets all day. And that really struck close to home with me. Now, how would you go about making a living wage for people like that feasible if you were in the place to do so?
Thunder, lightning, wind, rain, sleet! Who will survive? Who will win?
Well, one, you'd repeal a lot of laws obstructing unionization. The Taft-Hartley Act of 1947 and other laws make it very difficult compared to other Western countries for workers to band together and form a trade union where they have more bargaining power.
Like Chicago.
Yeah, and the second is you raise the minimum wage. If you just adjusted it to inflation from 1968, it'd be $10 an hour.
Yeah. Now
instead, it's $5.85 an hour. And then the third is you have universal health insurance, because that provides a real safety net. A lot of people can't afford health insurance, and 18,000 people die every year because they can't afford health care, according to the Institute of Medicine of the National Academy of Sciences. So those are three ways.
Three staple ways of doing that. And my other question would be, recently you called for a federal investigation of General Motors over their program, which involves offering incentives like ads and loaner cars to radio hosts like Rush Limbaugh in return for promotions. Has there been any progress on this investigation?
It was a letter asking for an investigation by the Federal Communications Commission, and I think there's going to be one.
1,000 herds of buffalo charging!
And I think they're going to send a survey out to the talk radio show hosts to get the facts about all these freebies and free trips in return for these talk show hosts talking favorably about General Motors cars, not during advertising time, but during program time, without their listeners knowing they're getting paid for it.
So this is kind of like a throwback to payola.
Yeah, well, it's illegal to do it in the music radio business now, but it hasn't expanded beyond that.
2 million lions charging at them! A giant fight! Wild beasts are gonna have at it tonight!
Okay. Now, in the section of the book titled History, there's a point when you're young at which you come to the realization that even encyclopedias of all things that you think would have facts in them have an agenda.
Right.
And you cited this one section about Hawaii and it being inaccurate, and your mother explaining to you.
My brother.
Oh, your brother explaining to you. That it was inaccurate, and being amazed that even an encyclopedia could be inaccurate. How do you feel the media is painting our more recent history? Are we being diffused by a filtered version of the truth, or do you think my generation has woken up to things? Where do you think we stand?
Well, the internet has a lot of positive things to it, but one of the negatives is that you can put anything on it.
Yeah.
Falsehoods,
Fists flying,
scurrilous
feet kicking,
rumors,
tempers flaring,
defamation,
sweat in the air.
even Wikipedia.
Yeah.
You know, you can put stuff on it. It'll take a while for it to get corrected.
Yeah.
And as a result, your generation is growing up not really knowing where the line is between fact and distortion and fiction, because you're being flooded with all at the same time. Now, there's always been propaganda throughout history, but the saturation level, day after day, has never been greater.
Yeah, the homogenization of fact and fiction, and at a rate where you can't even process it.
That's right. Now, at least you can kind of rebut it on the internet.
Yeah,
you don't have to.
Which
pay.
is the positive aspect.
Yeah, which
Through
is
a blog,
positive
I can
aspect,
say.
but it's like it's like being on a treadmill and never stops.
Yeah. Now, in terms of civics, the section about civics in the book, there's a point where your mom, through using the handshake tactic invented by your father, and the longer you hold on to the hand, the more attention you can get, or the more you can get the politician to remember you. Using this technique, she was in part able to persuade Senator Prescott Bush to build a dry dam in your town, thus being able to avoid further damages from hurricanes and floods, like the one at the time that happened there. Now, how long do you think we have to hold hands with members of Congress before we see our more recent president take a significant action in making reasonable troop withdrawals?
Well, I think if people, instead of being flattered, flummoxed, and pandered to by politicians who are very good at that when they are in an auditorium with people back in their home district, if people did a little more homework, like some do, some citizens, and asked tough questions and demanded answers, and during the reception line, they wouldn't let go of that handshake with the senator, representative, or governor, I think the imprint that the people mean business and they're going to take back their government from these giant corporations would be conveyed much more memorably.
Yeah.
And people got to be very wary of being flattered. Politicians love to flatter people because that weakens their defenses. And gee, he likes me.
Yeah.
You know? And you got to turn the
Like with
tables
the smile,
up.
your mother talks about the smile, and if you can get past that smile,
Yeah,
you
exactly.
can penetrate that line.
Exactly.
And now,
You've really read this book, The 17
oh yeah,
Traditions.
it's a good book. I like it a lot.
Okay.
Call the doctors!
Now, in terms of running for re-election, is it completely out of the question at this point?
No.
Okay.
No, I'll make up my mind before the end of the year.
Okay. So before the end of the year, we'll know. And my last question, it's a silly one. Should turkeys or chickens be allowed to run for political office?
Well, there are a lot of turkeys that are elected to political office.
So
I think a little humor and satire actually is not bad in politics. There used to be a party in Canada. It was called the Crocodile Party.
The Crocodile Party.
And it would have a foreign policy to make peace with Belgium.
Yeah.
And it developed satire and humor. And that just makes people more
getting
interested.
a more organic human rapport with
exactly.
a person who's usually hard to talk to.
The moon is full. The wolves will be howling tonight.
Imagine you have a parrot running for president.
Yeah.
I mean, that parrot might have a better vocabulary than some of these repetitious politicians, right?
Yeah, people that are just cue carded. And not speaking about myself, right?
Yeah,
Some cue cards. But I want to thank you very much for your time.
Thank you for your
It's been an
program.
honor and a pleasure.
Thank you.
And I love the book. And could you sign it?
Sure, of course.
Mr. Nader, we have one more sign.
Could you just sign out?
Get out while you still can! Run! Run for your lives! Run!
All right. Thank you so much.